No, they're all veterans. You have Dolores, she's Navy gal. Have my son Scott, he's retired Army. And you have Pam, she's another Navy gal.
Go Navy.
Jimmy's Navy. So I have a few things I want to say here. I need to tell you a little bit about the Quilts of Valor. Before I start though, I want to let you know that I have brochures up here if anybody wants some. If you have a veteran that has not been nominated for one of these quilts, I have nomination forms here you can fill out. You can either email them, mail them, or bring them to me personally with their information, and I will get them in the system. The Quilts of Valor Foundation was started in 2003 by a lady named Catherine Roberts. Her son was deployed to Iraq along with my son and several thousand others fighting the Iraqi war. She first started this group just to hand out quilts to soldiers in the Walter Reed Hospital. And the more quilts that were handed out, the more people wanted one. So she did it all inclusive. If you are an active service member, or if you are a veteran that has been honorably discharged, you are entitled to one of these quilts. Since 2014, I believe it is the year, they started keeping track of the quilts that we have awarded. This foundation has handed out over 400,000 quilts. And last month alone, it was over 6,000 in 1 month. And we're going to add this 6 to that number today. I get asked a lot, what is it? Y'all, I'm going to just be right up front with you. Please overlook me today, because normally I got it together. But I said goodbye to a friend last night. I stayed up almost all night, so I'm kind of not with it this morning. So if I goof up, y'all straighten me up, okay? But I get asked a lot, what's a Quilt of Valor? And I'm going to tell you about, we're going to do a show and tell today. I'm going to tell you about it, and then we're going to show you. A Quilt of Valor is a quality, handmade, machine stitched, or hand quilted. And to be a Quilt of Valor, it has to be 100% cotton. It can be any color, but I find the veterans really like the red, white, and blue. And to qualify also, it has to be labeled as a Quilt of Valor. You can't just put a label on there and say, here's your quilt. It has to be a Quilt of Valor label. Given the recipient's name, when and where it was awarded, who pieced the top together, who quilted it, and this edging is called a binding. That person's name's on that label. So when you receive your quilt, you'll know who made it, who quilted it, and who bound it for you. It's also any member or veteran, service member or veteran that has been touched by war. This kind of gets a little bit gray area here, but for me, if you signed your name on that dotted line, you deserve one of these quilts. I don't care if you pushed a pencil in Afghanistan, or if you was on the front line, or if you were like my son, stationed in Kuwait, working on the helicopters. I also had a son that went in behind the Marines. He called me from Baghdad one night, satellite phone. He says, "Mom, don't worry about me where I'm." He was sleeping in trenches. I knew he was. But he says, "Mom, don't worry about me. I'm sleeping in the palace tonight." And that was the first good night's sleep I'd had since he'd been over there. But like I say, I don't care if you were on the front line or if you were behind the desk. If you were a service member and you signed that line and took that oath, you are entitled to one of these quilts. So not everyone answers the call to serve our country. It's those rare individuals that's selfless enough to sacrifice so much so we can enjoy the freedoms we have. We'll never know exactly what each service member or veteran experienced or what they were how they were touched by war. But we can welcome our veterans home, support them and their families, and thank them for their service whenever possible. And a lot of times, I don't have any today, I'm sorry. But a lot of times if I'm out in the neighborhood or shopping and I see somebody with a cap on that kind of designates them as a veteran, and I ask them if they're a veteran and they say yes, I give them a thank you coin. And a lot of them has told me I have never gotten one before. So I try to do that too. But today's military is composed of all volunteers and has always been about having their buddies back. From those in the rear with the gear to the frontline service member, being touched by war can take on many aspects. Anyone who has taken the oath of enlistment has accepted the burden and risk and may be touched by war in ways that are totally unapparent. Whether in times of war or peace, we cannot know what they experienced or how it affected them. The point is not to discriminate, but to honor, and that's what we're here to do today. My job is not to judge whether someone deserves one of these quilts, but rather do they need one, and I think everybody needs one. The oath of enlistment states, I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, domestic and foreign. All enemies, foreign and domestic. These veterans vowed to lay down their lives for you and me, no questions asked. We cannot judge what being touched by war means to a veteran. It will be different for each one, no matter when or where they served. A nurse serving in Walter Reed Hospital has been touched by war. A general serving in the Pentagon, someplace in his military career, he's been touched by war. An infantry soldier serving in a war zone, in a humanitarian effort. A National Guardsman in a national humanitarian effort like ours was called up for the recent hurricanes. They've been touched. Or down the street at the local armory. No judgment, just trust. Trust that these veterans have been touched by war. Trust that they will tell you, and I'm here to tell you, they will tell you that they don't feel they should receive a Quilt of Valor. And I say to them, be inclusive, not exclusive. For today, everybody sitting here in this audience has been touched by war. When our towers fell in New York, everybody was touched by war. So don't tell me that you don't deserve one of these quilts, because you do. And so on behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation, we're going to serve honor and comfort on you, though we may never know the depth of your sacrifice to protect and defend the United States of America. As a gesture of gratitude from a grateful nation, would you please stand and come forward as I call your name and accept your Quilt of Valor? And the first name on my list is Mr. Lynward Bones. Mr. Bones enlisted in the United States Army May 10th. I got mixed up. I'm supposed to. Okay, make sure he said. See, I told you they're going to straighten me out. Mr. Bones, I'm so sorry. We're going to make you go second. Is that okay? My brain is just, I told you I was like, yes. Okay, well, we can go ahead and do him. He can sit in his chair. Okay. Mr. Lawrence, I apologize so bad. Okay, Mr. Bones enlisted in the United States Army May 10th, 1977, and he served until May 9th, 1980. He went through basic training at Fort Dixon, New Jersey from May 1977 to July 1977. From July 1977 to November 1977, he went through AIT, which is Advanced Individual Training. His first duty station was Fort Hood, Texas, where he, in August of 1979, went through desert training in the Mojave Desert while he was at Fort Irwin, California. His MOS was a helicopter weapons system repairer. He worked on the Cobra helicopters. He was honorably discharged in 1980 as a Sergeant E5. His service was instrumental to ensure America's freedom during the Cold War. And your quilt was made by Dolores, which is holding the other end down there. And it was quilted, I believe, by Lori, who is no longer with us. And I think I sewed the binding on it. So all that information is on your quilt. If you'll step over there where they can wrap you, you're going to have to go around the chairs, guys. And thank you for your service. Scott, you want to give her the certificate on this? Let me read this poem while they're doing that. It's a Quilt of Valor. This kind of describes these quilts. It was written by Mary Welch, who is a big, she's really big in the National Foundation, and she also owns part of Fons and Porter, which is a quilting group. But it's Quilt of Valor. Mr. Bones, if you get tired of standing, you're welcome to sit down in that second chair. A few pieces of cloth from people who care. To honor your service, it only seems fair. Carefully chosen materials of red, white, and blue, sewn together for those patriotic and true. A top pieced together with caring and pride, then quilted with backing and a warm layer inside. Every stitch and seam sewn from the very start, with appreciation and gratitude straight from the heart. For you who have sacrificed for those here at home, may this quilt warm and comfort you wherever you roam. Our hope with this quilt is to make sure you knew we appreciate all you've done and all you've been through. And I have a copy of this poem in your certificate that we're giving you today. Our next recipient is Mr. James Lawrence. If you'll come forward, we'll award you your quilt. And this is his certificate. It's non-directional, so you don't have to worry how it's filled out. And I believe Dolores made this one too, right, Dolores? And I think I did the binding, and I think Lori did the quilting for us. Mr. Lawrence enlisted in the United States Navy in 1979 and served until his discharge in 1994. During those 15 years, he served in the Gulf War and was an E6 petty officer at the time of his discharge. He served on the USS Mobile amphibious cargo ship, and his medals include 2 Navy Achievement Medals, a Southwest Asia Service Medal, an Expeditionary Medal, a Kuwait Liberation Medal, and a National Defense Service Medal. And we thank you, Mr. Lawrence, for your service. And our next recipient is a guy that I know a lot of people know and call on, Mr. Alex Robinson. Where are you at? There he is. I want to say, while he's making his way up here, one of their fellow veterans nominated all of these guys. But anybody can nominate a veteran. If you want to nominate somebody that you know is a veteran and has never received a quilt, you need one of these nomination forms. That's non-directional too. Mr. Robinson joined the United States Army in 1968 and served through 1970. He took his basic training in Fort Benning, Georgia. His duty station from 68 to 69 was Fort Story, Virginia. Mr. Robinson, I don't have this information, but were you deployed to Vietnam from Fort Story? Okay. He was deployed to Vietnam, where he served from 69 to 1970. He served under the 5th Transportation Command with the 264th Transportation Company. He was promoted to Sergeant Christmas of 1969 in Vietnam. His ribbons and medals include the Vietnam Ribbon, Good Conduct Medal, and the Army Accommodation Medal. I want to tell y'all, these guys are some awesome people. This quilt was made by Pam, again quilted by Lori, and I think I did the binding on that. I'm sorry. I think I did the binding on that. Did I do that or did I? We do so many, sometimes we lose track of what we do here. Thank you, Mr. Robinson, for your service. Enjoy your quilt. I want to tell y'all real quick, these quilts are able to be laundered. We always launder them before we give them to our veterans. But if they want to use them, which a lot of them won't, but if they use them, they can throw them in the washer on cold water and mild detergent, and they're good to go. Our next recipient is Mr. Kenneth Wingerter. You should. Don't. Kenneth enlisted in the United States Navy in 1977 and was discharged after serving 20 years in 1997 as an E6. He served in the Gulf War and other wars and conflicts. During his 20 years of service, some of his duty stations included boot camp at Great Lakes, Illinois. And if you've never been there, that's an awesome camp. I attended several graduations there. He served at NAS Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, from 77 to 78. He served on the USS Nimitz from 78 to 81. In the Naval Auxiliary Landing Field Interest in Chesapeake, Virginia, from 81 to 83. Served on the USS Iwo Jima from 83 to 87. Then he was on the USS Coral Sea from 87 to 89. He served at SEMA for Portsmouth, Virginia, from 89 to 91. Then he went to the USS Nassau, 91 to 96. And from 96 to 97, he served at Mayport, Florida, with the Helicopter Anti-Submarine Squadron. His ribbons include 4 Sea Service ribbons, Overseas Service ribbon, Pistol and Rifle Qualifying ribbons, 3 Meritorious Unit Service ribbons, a Navy Unit Commendation ribbon, and 2 Battle Efficiency ribbons. You don't want to mess with this guy. His medals include 2 Navy Achievement Medals, 4 Good Conduct Medals, an Expeditionary Medal, Armed Forces Service Medal, a NATO Medal, and a National Defense Medal. Okay. Thank you for your service, Mr. Lynward. Enjoy your quilt. Our next recipient is Mr. Huey, and I hope I say this name right, Fourquet. Good job. I got it or not, right? Huey enlisted in the United States Air Force in 1976, and he was discharged as a Chief Master Sergeant in 2002. His duty stations include Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada as an avionics technician, maintaining F-4s, F-5s, A-10s, and T-38 jets, and the Huey helicopter in support of Operation Red Flag. Kadena Air Base in Okinawa, Japan. Here he provided support to 1st Special Operations Squadron and other outfits around the Pacific Theater. Clark Air Base in the Republic of the Philippines as an avionics support of 1st Special Operations Squadron. Keith, next time I need a popper on my mic. I keep popping here, I'm sorry. Keesler Air Force Base in Mississippi, where he maintained an E6 150 with the Airborne Command and Control Center. Also provided logistic support for the invasion of Grenada under the code name Urgent Fury in 1983. He served at Albrook Air Force, I think that's Air Force Base, in Panama, where he helped train Latin American allies. He was at McConnell Air Force Base in Kansas, Gunner Annex in Alabama, Naval Station in Newport, Rhode Island, and Langley Airfield in Virginia. His medals include 5 Meritorious Service Medals, 2 Air Force Commendation Medals, an Air Force Achievement Medal, Navy/Marine Corps Achievement Medal. And I'd like to ask Mr. Huey if he would like to say a few words before we wrap this up. And then I have a few words to say after you.
Yeah, like Marilyn said earlier, when I first was nominated, I said I don't deserve this, but I was talked into it, and I really appreciate it. We're all touched by war one way or another, and I want to thank Mark. Mark, come on here, man, for a second. I want to thank Mark Akins. I don't know if you guys know Mark.
I do.
Okay, he's the one that nominated me for this, and when I talked to him about it, he said, "Yeah, my reaction was the same way. I don't deserve this because." I've never been to combat, and I forget what else he said, but little does he know, by the way, this young man here, he and I were stationed together back in McConnell in the old days, and I've seen the effect that he's had on our mission, and I know that he was impacted by combat because the first Desert War was during our time there, and we had to pick up the slack for our half of the squadron that left. He was also a Cold Warrior. He put nuclear bombers on alert, so he was always watching for our safety. So for that, I nominate him for a quilt.
Well, I think he pretty well covered it. So if you want to go down this way, they'll wrap you in your quilt. We sneaked that one in. We like doing that. But someone told me he wanted my phone number. He was going to tell me all the reasons why he didn't want one of these quilts. So don't tell me no, because that really gets me started. I will. Did we come up with an? Oh, Huey, you forgot Huey's.
He was talking.
Oh, I did? Oh.
We didn't quite get it to him yet.
Sorry.
Hey.
I tell you, they'll keep me in line here. Okay, well, that concludes our presentation, but there's, oh, you want to say something? Well, I'm not really done. I wanted to say something else. No, we just ad-lib these things. We never know. I wanted to call your attention to a group that is kind of close to me, other than my Quilts of Valor. This is a runners group, and it's called Florida's Run for the Fallen. I'm going to try to get through this, but Scott will probably have to ad-lib for me. They start at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Tallahassee on Monroe Street, and they run all the way to the Veterans Memorial in Jacksonville. And that's like 176 plus miles. They operate like we do on donations. But let me give you a little bit of history on it. The first run, and Scott might correct me here, he's tried to help me out because he knows my situation today. The first run was done on Flag Day, June 14th, 2008. And I'm not sure how many veterans and people got together this particular day, but they started from Fort Irwin, California, and they ran 4,100 miles across America to the Arlington National Cemetery. Now think about this, that's 26 states they went across. But 1 mile for every service member killed since the War on Terror started. So that gives you an idea, 4,100. They run dedicated miles to honor and remember each Florida fallen hero who died since the global war on terror began. However, regardless of war or conflict, they run to honor them all, because everybody, as long as someone is alive to call their name, they will never be forgotten. And that's one of their purposes. They honor their service and sacrifice, and they remember that they gave up a future so that we could have ours. They give tribute to them by name and to the sacrifice of the families they leave behind. Like I say, the run begins in Tallahassee and ends in Jacksonville. These runners carry 4 flags as they're running. One is the American and the regular size flags like this up here. They carry the American flag, the state of Florida flag, the honor service flag, and the honor and remember flag. And they also carry small versions of these flags, and if a Gold Star family is at their hero marker, they get these flags in the small version. But at the markers, the runner reads the names of the heroes, the branch of service, and the date of death. They then raise these small flags in salute, touch them to American soil, and give those flags to the fallen heroes, Gold Star families if present. And then they step back, climb to attention, and salute. And if the Gold Star families are present after the salute, they pay their respects to those families by every runner walking past them and giving them a hug. It's a very emotional scene if you've ever been to one. The runners then will, like I say, they're going to leave Tallahassee the morning of the 7th, and they will be running. They'll stop overnight, I think, in Madison, Florida, where they'll be at the Four Freedoms Park there, which is an awesome statue. If you've never been to Madison, it's right on Main Street. You go in on 90, Four Freedoms Park is on your right if you're going west. But like I say, they'll be, and then they're going to spend the night. They're going to leave there 7 o'clock on the 8th, run to Madison. They will make a stop in Lake City, but then not Madison. I'm sorry. They'll make a stop in Lake City, and then come to Baker County, and where they'll spend the night. And then they start at the corner of 90 and 121 at 7 o'clock on the morning of the 9th. And I believe there's 2 hero markers before. Is there one or two before you get to the distribution? 2. Okay, but they'll begin at, like I say, on the corner of 121 and 90, and you can stand along this route if you wish. But we have a local fallen hero marker located on 90. And last year, Scott and I, neither one was able to attend because he runs the run, and I stand with the local family. But Scott came down with COVID last year, and I got quarantined with him, so I wasn't able to be there. But our local foreign hero marker will be close to the entrance of the Walmart Distribution Center, and it'll be on the right side of the road and eastbound, and that is Quint Tabor. Y'all know the Tabor family, so his marker is going to be out there, and I stand with them when I can, and you're welcome to stand with them too. And you'll get to see what they do. But like I say, the run starts February 7th. Tallahassee runs through to Jacksonville on the 9th. And if you'd like to have more information on this group, their website is florida.USA runforthefallen.org. You can also use that link to make a donation if you would like to. And that's all I have to say. Dan, you got something you want to say? He's over here antsy.
On behalf of all of us here, we'd like to, and especially on behalf of the recipients, they all got a Quilt of Valor. And I think after all that Marilyn has done throughout the years and helped out in so many ways and everything else, that we would like to present her with a blanket of honor. And the candle of hope.
Thank you. Listen, I don't do this by myself. I really don't. You see the ladies that help me and Scott, I call on them a lot. And like I said, they've sewn some of these quilts, and I can call them. Pam special. Well, I call both of them. Dolores just had eye surgery, and I really didn't expect her to come, and here she is today. And I text Pam last minute, terribly last minute, and I said, I know it's last minute, but we're going to do a presentation. She says, she don't say, she says, what time do I need to be there? So it's not just me. And Scott, I call on him all the time. I say, because he runs so much, and I'll say, hey, keep this date open. I got to have some help. So, but thank y'all. It's like I say, it's not just me. And I love doing this. I used to have a employee at the radio station, and he was always saying, life's good, Miss Marilyn. He said, do what you like and like what you do. And it's true, life is good, like what you do. Do what you like and like what you do. And I love doing this because these guys deserve more, but this is our way of showing them how much we do appreciate what they've done for us. Y'all have a great day, and you can stay behind and mingle if you want. Don't be in a hurry to go home.